Okay, let's jump into this really interesting idea. We're looking at two people, right?
Right.
Same day, eating exactly the same number of calories. You'd think, well, same result.
You would think so, wouldn't you? But that's where it gets fascinating.
Because one person, their lifestyle, it's like they're effortlessly burning fat,
Hmm.
while the other, they're doing all the healthy things, but gaining weight, storing fat. How does that even work?
It seems counterintuitive, but it highlights something crucial we often miss.
We've been digging into the work of Gabriel Ulea. He's a biologist, food science expert.
And mindfulness, too, yeah. His perspective really flips the script on typical weight advice.
It really does. So the central question is, how can one person thrive metabolically while the other struggles on the exact same energy intake?
It points directly to how our bodies actually process those calories, which isn't just about the number.
Exactly. So today, we're going to walk you through their day, hour by hour, compare them side by side.
And we'll look at the metabolic effects, the hormonal responses,
Mm.
what's happening under the hood.
See how those choices, food, routine, trigger totally different paths, fat burning or fat storage?
Yeah, the aim is for you, listening, to really get how these daily decisions shape your body's energy game plan.
It's not just calories in, calories out, is it?
Not even close, really.
Right.
It's about the signals those calories and your lifestyle send to your hormones. That's what dictates the outcome.
Okay, let's start. 7 a.m., alarm goes off. Person one hits snooze. Again, struggling.
Uh-huh. That sluggishness, that fight to wake up.
What's causing that usually?
Often it's a sign their natural body clock, the circadian rhythm, is out of whack,
Meaning?
meaning cortisol, the hormone that should naturally peak in the morning to wake you up and give you energy.
Yeah.
It isn't doing its job properly.
Ah, so the wake-up signal is weak.
Exactly. Maybe bad sleep, maybe irregular schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It dampens that morning cortisol surge, leaves you feeling groggy.
Right. Now, person two, same time, 7 a.m., they're waking up before the alarm, feeling refreshed.
That's the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
The circadian rhythm is likely well aligned.
So good melatonin production overnight.
Yeah. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, did its thing. Then, as morning comes, cortisol naturally rises, just as it should.
Giving them that alert, ready-to-go feeling.
Precisely. They're starting in activation mode.
Whereas person one is kind of stuck in survival mode from the get-go.
It sets a very different tone for the entire day, hormonally speaking.
Okay, fast forward slightly. 7:30 a.m., breakfast time. Person one picks, oh, well, it sounds healthy, whole grain cereal, maybe gluten-free toast,
Skim milk, orange juice.
coffee with sugar. Standard healthy start for many.
On paper, maybe. But let's look at the metabolic reality.
Which is?
A massive, rapid influx of sugar. The cereal breaks down fast, milk has lactose, the juice is basically liquid sugar.
Plus the sugar in the coffee.
Right, so boom. Blood glucose spikes sky high very quickly,
And that brings insulin into the picture, doesn't it?
immediately. Insulin's job is damage control, basically. Get that sugar out of the blood,
Where does it take it?
into cells for energy, or into storage glycogen in the liver and muscles.
But what if those stores are already full from yesterday?
Ah, that's the key. If glycogen tanks are full, the overflow has one main destination: fat storage.
So that healthy breakfast could literally be making them store fat within minutes.
It's entirely possible, yes.
Yeah.
And that initial energy rush, it doesn't last.
The crash comes next.
Always. Insulin does its job too well sometimes. Blood sugar plummets.
And how does the body react to that sudden drop?
It perceives it as an emergency, a stress. So it releases stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline.
Trying to get blood sugar back up?
Exactly. But the side effects for person one: intense hunger returns quickly, irritability, brain fog.
The classic energy roller coaster. Now contrast that. Person two's breakfast.
Okay, person two is having, say, scrambled eggs with veggies, maybe some bacon or cheese.
Handful of strawberries, coffee with a little whole milk. Very different.
Totally different makeup. Low carb, high protein, healthy fats.
So the metabolic response is smoother.
Much smoother. Blood glucose rises gently, gradually. Insulin response is moderate, controlled. No big spike, no big crash.
And you mentioned another hormone comes into play here, glucagon.
Yes, glucagon. Think of it as insulin's counterpart. When blood sugar is stable or gently falling and insulin is low, glucagon gets the signal.
What signal is that?
The signal to release stored energy, to tap into the reserves.
Primarily fat reserve.
Primarily fat, yes. So person two's body, after this breakfast, is actually encouraged to burn its own fat for fuel.
Wow. So one breakfast promotes fat storage and cravings, the other promotes fat burning and stability.
That's the fundamental difference, driven entirely by the hormonal response to the food.
Okay, let's move on. Mid-morning, maybe 11:00 a.m., person one is feeling that dip.
Definitely. That roller coaster is heading down.
So they grab a granola bar, cereal bar, maybe a whole wheat cookie, another coffee,
Yep, trying to get that energy level back up. But why are they hungry?
because of the crash from breakfast, right? Not real hunger.
Exactly. It's hormonal hunger, driven by that blood sugar dip and the cortisol surge. It's not a true need for energy.
And that snack. More carbs, likely more sugar.
Perpetuates the cycle.
Mm.
Another glucose spike, another insulin surge, and importantly, high insulin blocks fat burning.
So even if they wanted to burn fat, they can't while insulin is elevated from snacking.
Correct. Glucagon can't do its job. They're effectively locked out of their fat stores.
Stuck in that loop. What about person two around this time?
They're likely feeling fine, stable energy. Maybe they fancy a small snack.
Like what?
Perhaps a small handful of nuts, almonds, walnuts.
Healthy fats, protein.
Right. Provides satiety, keeps hormones stable. No significant insulin spikes.
Yeah.
The body can continue humming along, burning fat if needed. No desperate need for sugar or caffeine.
See, the difference is already huge by mid-morning. Lunchtime now. 2:00 p.m. Person one opts for a whole wheat chicken sandwich, lettuce, light mayo.
A banana, maybe a diet soda. Trying to be healthy, choosing light.
But the light trap, what's
Yeah.
usually going on there?
Often, when fat is removed, sugar or artificial sweeteners are added back in for taste.
So potentially still a sugary meal despite the light label?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
The whole wheat bread breaks down to sugar. The banana is sugary.
And the diet soda, no sugar, but
Can still cause issues. Some studies suggest artificial sweeteners might still trigger an insulin response in some people or affect gut bacteria. Point is, insulin is likely still elevated.
keeping glucagon suppressed, still blocking fat burning.
Exactly. They remain, as you said, kind of trapped in fat storage mode, even if they're eating light. Their body has fuel, but can't access the fat reserves efficiently.
So frustrating for them. Okay, person two's lunch.
Let's say a big chicken salad. Lots of greens, other veggies, maybe cheese, avocado, olive oil dressing.
Sounds delicious, actually, and hormonally.
Very stable. Protein from the chicken, healthy fats from avocado, cheese, olive oil, fiber from the veggies.
Slows down digestion.
Yes, leads to a slow, gentle rise in blood glucose. Moderate insulin. Glucagon can kick in later as needed.
And you mentioned leptin earlier, the satiety hormone.
Right. Healthy fats are great for triggering leptin. It tells the brain, okay, we're full, we're satisfied. Helps prevent overeating later.
So person two feels full and satisfied, hormones are balanced.
And their body is still capable of burning fat. It shows how a calorie-counting mindset alone can miss the mark. The type of food is critical.
Makes total sense. Okay, afternoon slump time, 5:00 p.m. Person one is fading again.
Predictably, that roller coaster is still going.
They reach for an apple slice, half a cookie left over, another coffee.
Trying to push through. But what's happening internally is key.
Cortisol still playing a role.
Likely, yes.
Right.
Chronically elevated cortisol from the blood sugar swings, maybe general life stress. This isn't good.
Why not?
High cortisol hinders weight loss. It can actually encourage fat storage, especially around the abdomen.
Oh, wow.
And it messes with leptin signaling, too.
Ah.
It can make your brain less sensitive to leptin, so you don't feel full even when you should, and cravings increase. It's a double whammy.
Increased cravings, less satisfaction. That's tough. How's person two handling the late afternoon?
Much better. Stable energy. Maybe they fancy a small treat. A square or two of dark chocolate, maybe.
Yeah.
Enjoyed mindfully.
Not out of desperation for sugar.
No, because their hormones are balanced. The craving isn't a physical need driven by a crash. It's just a choice, enjoyed without guilt.
Big difference in the motivation behind the eating. Dinner time, 8:00 p.m. person one.
Right. Maybe chicken breast, broccoli. Sounds good so far.
But maybe some pasta on the side. Diet yogurt for dessert.
Okay. And perhaps unwinding with a beer while watching TV or scrolling on their phone.
Seems reasonable. Maybe a bit healthier than earlier.
The meal itself might be better, yeah. But the hormonal dysfunction is kind of baked in by now.
And the evening choices matter too.
Hugely. Alcohol is essentially processed like sugar. That, plus the yogurt, sugars, or sweeteners, late at night.
Not ideal for sleep.
Not at all. And the blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production. It's setting them up for poor sleep.
Which links back to the cortisol issues the next morning. It's a cycle.
A vicious cycle. Now, person two's evening.
How does that look?
They might have, say, a steak with broccoli, Mushrooms, spinach, feels satisfying.
Dessert.
Maybe some blueberries. Low sugar, high antioxidants. Perhaps a small glass of red wine, enjoyed slowly.
But enjoyed as a pleasure, not necessarily stress relief.
That's the difference in mindset, often stemming from the balance hormones. And after dinner,
Less screen time.
maybe reading a book.
Well, no, no.
Dimmer lights.
Yeah.
Promoting relaxation, allowing cortisol to naturally decrease, melatonin to naturally rise, preparing for sleep.
Okay, final hurdle. Bedtime. 11:00 p.m. Person 1 feels a bit peckish.
Reaches for
Yeah.
maybe a fat-free yogurt, thinking it's harmless. But screen light might still be on. Cortisol's likely still higher than ideal. Blood sugar might be fluctuating from the yogurt.
Yeah.
All of this inhibits melatonin.
Making it hard to fall asleep. Or stay asleep.
Exactly. Restless night, wakes up tired, and the whole thing starts again.
That's a really clear picture of a frustrating pattern. Person 2 at 11:00 p.m.
Feeling comfortably full from dinner, relaxed, hormones are winding down appropriately.
So they fall asleep easily.
Likely fall asleep quickly, get deeper, more restorative sleep, ready for the next day.
Okay, let's sum this up. Both people ate the same calories, roughly 2,300, let's say.
Identical energy intake, but the experience, physiologically, night and day.
Person 1, hours spent storing fat, energy chaos, hormones haywire, probably super frustrated.
Yep, feeling like they're doing everything right according to common advice, but getting nowhere.
Person 2, significant time in fat burning mode, stable energy, no crazy hunger, living more in sync with their body.
And their body rewards them. Better energy, likely effortless fat loss over time, no guilt.
So the big takeaway from Gabriel Lelea's perspective is calories matter, but hormones matter more.
I'd say hormones dictate what happens to those calories. Are they burned, stored, used efficiently? That's a hormonal question. Not all calories are treated equally by the body.
It really depends on the signals they send.
Precisely. His message is fundamentally about working with your body's natural systems. Nourish your hormones. Don't just feed your cravings.
And the results follow. Better energy, body changes.
Effortless fat loss becomes a side effect of getting your hormones balanced rather than the sole focus of a grueling effort.
So if you're listening and you really saw yourself in person one day,
If you're trying hard, eating healthy, but stuck.
it might not be about trying harder. It might be about trying differently.
Exactly. Reevaluating the strategy based on how your body actually works hormonally.
It's powerful stuff. The type of calories, the timing, how it all impacts your hormones, that seems to be the real key.
It really shifts the focus, doesn't it? Away from just counting, towards understanding and balancing.
So a final thought maybe for everyone listening. What small shifts could you make?
Yeah, think about your own day, your routines, your food choices. How could aligning them better with your natural rhythms, your hormonal needs?
How could that change your energy, your body's response, even with the same calories?
It's definitely something worth reflecting on. Those small changes can lead to really profound differences in the end.